Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Upgrades. I'm Jeremy Knoll,
And I'm John Suarez.
and in this episode, we're going to talk about the Phantom Premonition deck from Kaldheim, headed up by Ranar the Ever Watchful. So, as we've talked about on this series before with some of the previous sets, this is one of the two decks that's coming out with the set from Kaldheim, and I think this is actually a very solid deck. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, they've done a really, really good job since they've instituted this like two commander decks per set. You know, they're incredibly affordable, which is always important, and they're very streamlined, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, before, as we've talked about before, with the sets of 4 and 5, you had like 3 new commanders in each one. They were really trying to build off of the abilities that they made for each. So each was being pulled in kind of 2 to 3 different directions. With these ones, they really just focus on the one thing. They've got them slimmed down. They're only $20 generally, so they're really worth the value, and the cards that they have in these are actually very, very good. So
yeah, definitely a home run. Whoever is responsible for this, kudos to them. They've done a very good job with it.
Yeah, and these ones are no exception. So we've got the 2, we've got Phantom Premonition, like I said. This one is really focused on the new Foretell mechanic from Kaldheim. And we're going to go in a little bit of a different direction. In the past, we've each kind of come up with a list of 10 cards, and there was some overlap. Suggested to you, this is our list, and then here's some cards that we also suggest taking out. This one, we're just going to do a top 10 cards under $10. They're not in any particular order. We're not saying that, like, this is number 1, this is number 10, but we're just doing, here's the 10 cards we think would be very solid. Some of them are going to be, like, the best example. Some of them are just going to be an example of, like a mechanic or something that would be really, really good, and are probably a very budget-friendly option for that. So for our very first card for this deck, it is a new card. It is just on the cusp of the $10 budget that we set for ourselves, and good chance that might change because, again, it is a brand new card. Could go down, could go up. We'll see how Standard shakes out. We'll see how Commander shakes out and things like that. But it's the new card, Mystic Reflection, which I think is a really, really cool card. I know a lot of people are really excited about this. There was a lot of talk about, foretelling this and then hitting, an Avenger of Zendikar or a Mere Battlesphere or something silly with it.
Of course, you go straight to Avenger of Zendikar.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Even not doing anything obnoxious like that, just the small value creatures you can get out of this are just obnoxious. Like if you target something like a Muldrifter, or even like something like simple like a Seagate Oracle, just for value, if you're able to make spirits with Ranar, all of a sudden you're just getting a ton of value. So the card, its ceiling is incredibly high, obviously, but its floor is it's just a very good card.
Yeah, like even just like you said, hitting some value stuff, hitting your Muldrifters or your Cloud Blazers that are in this deck as well. Even just hitting like something, like a Flicker Wisp or something that's going to blink out a bunch of your other value creatures, so that you can use all the different abilities rather than just one, over and over again. It's a very, very solid card. I again can't really predict where the price is going to go on this, but it's right on that edge. I think it's a really, really solid card for this deck. So
I definitely agree. So the next card we have is also a new card, and this is like the actual poster boy for Foretell. Yeah. This is Doomscar. 3 colors, white, simple Wrath of God, right? Sorcery, not an instant, nothing crazy. You look at that at a 5-mana sorcery, that's not a very exciting card. But adding the Foretell ability to this card makes it easily top 3 Wraths of all time, in my opinion, and probably top 2. I think there's some argument for Terminus, but this card is absolutely obnoxious. In a deck full of Foretell cards already, it's going to make kind of, figuring out where you go. Do you put pressure? Do you not? If you don't, well, maybe the person's going to draw cards. Maybe they're going to counter spells. It's really, really impossible to play around this type of a card.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just not knowing, that is definitely one of the really cool things about Foretell as a mechanic. It's I've seen people compare it to Morph, and I think that's a pretty apt thing of just having the guessing game of not quite knowing what's coming.
Yeah.
Because it could be the Wrath, it could be Doomscar, it could be something as simple as the one that just gives a creature like +1/+1 and double strike or first strike or whatever it is for the turn. So you could get it's a wild swing for these Foretell cards, and I think it's a very cool mechanic. So
also, when have you ever had a 3-mana Wrath of God? Right. Like being able to do on 2 foretell it, and then on 3 just clear the board immediately if somebody's doing something ridiculously silly. It's an obnoxious card for sure.
Yeah, a lot of those ones that are 3 mana that will get rid of a lot of creatures are very situational, because you got like Slaughter the Strong and stuff like that. That still keeps some creatures around, and it could be a very annoying creature, But so 3 mana removal is just mass removal is very, very sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
The next one, another Foretell card, and I think this is the other poster child of the Foretell set. This is the one that everybody got really excited about because it's it's obviously the mythic. B, it harkens back to other older cards as well, and that's Starnheim Unleashed. And that's the mythic. That's 2 white for sorcery. It has Foretell XX white, and it's create 4/4 white angel warrior creature tokens with flying and vigilance. If it was foretold, create X of those tokens instead. So 1 for 4 mana, or you can build it up later with its Foretell cost.
Yep. And you don't need a Divine Visitation for that card. They're just 4/4 flying angels on their own.
Yeah, they just come out. It is a sorcery, so obviously you got to do it on your turn, so it's not like a surprise, or anything like that. But still very solid, and it's like a good late game. Again, same thing like I was saying with the last card of you're not quite sure what the person has foretold, and it could be anything. And on their turn, they could just flip it over and make 4 flying 4/4s all of a sudden. So
yeah,
flying vigilant 4/4s, yeah.
Yeah, it just spits out a bunch of Sarah Angel tokens. It's pretty obnoxious.
Yeah, it's very obnoxious.
So we're going to get off of the plane of Kaldheim, and we're going to go with a card that I would never, ever suggest putting in another commander deck, in Ancestral Vision. Normally, this card, you need way too many turns to go by before you actually get a payoff. It's, a blue, suspend 4, target player draws 3 cards. Normally, way too much has happened, but the ability with Ranar to just get a 1/1, so you're paying 1 blue to get a 1/1, and then you can draw some cards later on in the game. That seems very good.
Yeah.
I know that Ancestral Visions isn't a commander staple by any means, and it takes a lot of time to set up and go off. But this deck's already trying to just gain value, so you're going to be playing a lot of your small creatures, drawing a card here or there, flickering a thing here or there, making a token every time you do that. And then eventually Ancestral Vision is going to kind of, pick you back up, restock you full of cards, which is nice.
Yeah. This is one where I personally only have it in my my Maelstrom Wanderer. It's a really good Cascade.
Yeah, Cascade.
Hit. That's about it. Like you said, I would not suggest putting it in almost any commander deck. Putting it into a Cascade deck, very solid. Putting in this deck, be able to get that 1/1 that can help you out. It's a solid inclusion there. So
yeah.
Our next one is along a similar line. There's, like I said before, there's a bunch of different cards that could go into a slot like this, or there's a bunch of different options for a slot like this. But the one that I picked was Essence Flux, partly because I love this new Seb McKinnon art. It is so good. But it's an instant for 1 blue. Exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If it's a spirit, put a +1/+1 counter on it. You do have a couple spirits in the precon, and it's definitely very easy to just make this into like a spirit tribal deck. But it does do the thing you want, which is it does exile something from your board, which gets you an extra spirit out of Ranar, and it also helps to save your value creatures, which is really what you want to do. So.
And that's what the whole deck really is chock full of. It's just every creature in here is generating some sort of advantage, whether that's making tokens or drawing a card or whatever, or bouncing something. Yeah. So Essence Flux is real nice add.
Yeah, because it's not just necessarily like saving it. Like, it's obviously great to be able to save your, Angel of Finality or whatever. But it's also great to just be able to like blink your Cloud Goat Ranger to get those extra tokens again, or blink your Cloud Blazer to draw 2 and gain 2 lives, stuff like that. So just being able to just continue that value train over and over again is a big part of this deck.
Yeah. Speaking of value train, Jeremy, I'm going to let you go over this next card so that everybody on the internet can hate you for it.
So this one is one that it was definitely a boogeyman for a long time in Commander. A lot of people early on were like, man, why have they not banned this card yet? And that is Deadeye Navigator. I think that Deadeye is one of those cards that if it's used in a deck that is just trying to generate some value out of it, like this, I think this is a very good middle ground deck for it. It's just very solid. Yeah. It's a very solid card. It's 6 mana. You have to pay 2 in to, blink and get whatever value out of it. Obviously, it's very broken if you play it with any of the cards that untap your lands. If you play it with the Palinchron and things like that, it just goes wild, So it is part of an infinite combo, and so a lot of people get very nervous about it. But I think Deadeye in this deck is in the same vein as something like an Essence Flux, except that you're just bonding it to whichever one creature and then being able to blink it a few times. So if you're blinking your Muldrift or your Cloud Blaze or something like that over and over again, you're just getting some good value out of it.
Yeah. Cards very, very good. I'm glad that we're at a point now where everyone's not wanting and crying for it to be banned. I think that has gone away for the most part, and I think most play groups have kind of policed it enough to where this card should only be in decks where it's good and it's got great value, but otherwise you're probably a little more competitive than most people want to be.
Yeah. If you're blinking this and Palinchron or something like that, you're playing in a slightly more powerful pod and things like that, and people understand that it's coming. Yeah. For the most part, if you're going to be playing this, a lot of people are going to groan, but it's easy to take care of, things like that.
Yeah. So our next card, one of my favorite cards of all time, from Time Spiral. This is Riftwing Cloudskate. So on its front half, it's just a 5 mana 2/2 flyer that returns a permanent to its owner's hand when it comes into play. But in this deck, and in most of the time, you can suspend it. So for 2 mana, you can put 3 counters on it and then unsuspend it on your upkeep every turn. But with Ranar, you're going to get a 1/1 out of that. And just like the Ancestral Vision, there's just more value. Suspend plays really, really well with Ranar. It's not just about foretelling. It's not just about blinking. You can generate these spirits in so many different ways.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to exile cards. And Suspend is just another one of them. And I like Riftwing Cloudskate.
Yeah, it's a great card.
It's just a fun card. So the next one is one that, as I said earlier, you can definitely go in a tribal route if you want to do spirits with things like Essence Flux, and you have a bunch of the spirits that you're creating with Ranar. So a really good older card that may be overlooked is Drogskull Captain. It's a 2/2 for 1 blue-white spirit soldier flying. Other spirit creatures you control get +1/+1 and have hexproof, which is super, super, super great in this deck. I know that there is the newer creature in this deck that I'm blanking on the name, but I will find it in a minute if you want to talk a little bit about this.
Are you talking about the Anthem creatures or spirits?
Imperial Eagle, I think, is the one I was comparing it to.
Yeah, exactly. There's that. There's Thunderclap Wyvern. There's a couple of different of those, 3 mana, 2/3 flyer. That seems to be like the generic flying Anthem nowadays. So, you can definitely replace one.
Other creatures you control with flying have +1/+1 is what they both say. Yeah, so
yes.
I knew there was at least one in there, and I forgot that the Thunderclap Wyvern was also in there. But yeah, Drogskull, giving that all your spirits hexproof is just is great.
Hexproof is powerful.
Yeah, as we said, if you make it into a spirit tribal deck, obviously that's really awesome. But just giving your small army, 5, 6, even up to 10 of these spirits over the course of the game. Just having that Anthem and giving them hexproof is going to be great as well. So,
for sure. So the next card we have up is a removal spell in Winds of Abandon. This is a Modern Horizons, overload spell. Exile target creature you don't control, and then for each creature exiled this way, they get to search for a basic land and put it into play tapped. And then it has the overload cost of 4 colorless and white. So this is just a very good upgrade, Wrath. Obviously, we're talking about putting Doomscar in. The deck itself has, I think, Cleansing Nova as in the precon itself, which is nice. Yep. But this card was a lot more money at one point in life, but now it's very affordable. And is a very, sweet kind of play on Path to Exile. I like this card a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoy Winds of Abandon for the decks that really care about recursion a lot too, because being able to exile them rather than destroy is a big thing. Like, you're giving them basic lands, but just being able to get rid of all of their most obnoxious creatures is super great.
Yep.
All right, and our last card is another one that will get you another spirit because it's going to exile things like pretty much everything else we've gone over. And that's Grasp of Fate, and that's from an older commander set, and it's 1 white for an enchantment. It says when it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls until Grasp of Fate leaves the battlefield. So it's very much a Oblivion Ring style effect, but it does hit for each opponent that you have. So you can get up to 3 different things. It still only gets you the 1 spirit because it is only just the 1 for Ranar. But still a very, very solid card. Gets rid of the 3 most annoying things on each of your opponent's battlefields. And it's pretty reasonably priced still for being a card from, I think, Commander
15?
15?
Maybe?
Yeah.
There's so many of them now. It's hard to keep track.
15 was what it was originally in. And it's been in Mystery Booster as well. But,
there you go.
so yeah, that's our top 10 under $10 upgrades for the Phantom Premonition deck from Kaldheim. As we said before, these are great decks if you can find them, if you can pick them up for the price. And as always, make sure to let us know what cards you would add to the deck in the comments below. And also remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jeremy Knoll for John Suarez. Thanks for watching.